Lemonada.
Hey, Worth It listeners, Nicole here. We've got a little change for you today. We have partnered with our friends over at MPR News to share one of their shows with you. It's an episode of the award-winning show and podcast called MPR News with Angela Davis. Angela is a friend of mine who I've always looked up to. Her show is full of insightful commentary about topics you really need to know. In this episode, Angela Davis chats with 3 children's book authors about combating the summer slide. They've got some great tips on how to inspire young people to read and how to keep their love of books alive. They also share some wonderful book recommendations. Plus, they take some phone calls from parents and teachers, and even a kid who calls in at the end of the episode. I think you all like this show. If you'd like to hear more from NPR News, you can find them online at nprnews.org. They are also on the radio across the state and anywhere you listen to podcasts. I hope you enjoy the show.
Good morning. I'm Angela Davis, and you're listening to MPR News. So glad you could join us today. Are you reading a good book right now? Or maybe a better question is, what is your kid reading right now? More children's books than ever are out there, but where are the young readers? You've heard maybe about summer learning loss or the summer slide, the setback that many students experience when they're reading with their reading skills during the summer months when they are doing everything but picking up a book. School teachers often talk about the time that they spend in the fall, in September, when classes resume, getting students back on track. And a 2020 study by the Northwest Evaluation Association showed that children in 3rd to 5th grades lost, on average, about 20% of their school year gains in reading during the summer break. So let's get some recommendations on great books to read this summer to keep our kids' reading skills up and their imagination alive. This hour, I have a couple of award-winning children's book authors with me to tell me about the books that they've written and what inspired them to write them. And I want to hear from you, too. I want you to call in because I want some recommendations of great children's books. Is there a children's book that you just love and want to recommend to others? How have you been able to encourage your children and teenagers in your life to spend more time reading? Let me introduce our guest. Sarah Warren is here. Sarah is a children's book author who worked as an early childhood educator for more than 17 years. Her picture books include Beyonce, Shine Your Light, Stacey Abrams, Lift Every Voice, Everything a Drum, and Dolores Huerta, a hero to migrant workers. Sarah is also co-founder of Picture Book Parade, and that's an organization that promotes literacy and diverse local authors. Hi, Sarah. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Angela. I am so excited to be here.
Thanks for coming in. And we have another children's book author joining us. Jessie Taken Alive Recounter is with us. She is a Hunkpapa Lakota from the Standing Rock Sioux tribe. She was a school counselor for 15 years and now works full-time as an author and presenter. She was named the Great Plains Emerging Tribal Writers Award winner for her first children's book, Peta Shows Musu the Light, and she is the author of 6 other children's books, including Thunder's Hair and We Are All Related. She's joining us from her home in Rapid City, South Dakota this morning. Good morning, Jessie. Thank you for your time.
Good morning. It's such an honor to be here with you this morning.
Well, I just want to start. I have to talk about how much I love kids. As our listeners may know, I love talking about education. I also love books. And I'm just excited about this conversation because it makes me think of my own childhood on a farm in Southern Virginia. And it was my love of reading that kept me entertained and I think optimistic as a child. So my first question for the two of you is do you have some memories of reading books when you were little? And what do you remember about what you really loved to read and what you didn't enjoy? Sarah?
Oh, well, boy, for me, my best memories are kind of rooted in reading. And I think it's because those books created connection between me and the people I loved. So, my dad was a busy guy and there weren't even cell phones back then, but, getting him to focus completely on me was such a gift. And when he would read to me at night, that's when I got my dad. It was such a triumph. And he would connect. He would pay attention to me and he would let me pick out the book. And I would torture him by picking out Go Dog Go. Almost
oh
I
my
loved that
gosh,
book.
memory.
Yes, and I think part of the reason I loved it is because it was super predictable. I mean, I can't say much about the plot, but it was predictable. I knew it was going to happen, so we could just read that book together and play. Like
You
it
did
was.
not take us back to Go Dog
Yes,
Go.
to go, dog, go, man. I mean, you remember that dog party at the end? Come on, do you like my hat? It's the best.
And now I'm thinking about the illustrations too.
Yes.
But I remember it as a mom
Yeah.
reading to my kids,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That was a great book.
Well, and yeah, and you just.
It's a great book. It's
I mean,
still
you
out
can
there.
have I think the thing that matters sometimes the most is the interaction that you can have around a book. And because we felt so safe and so good and our imaginations could go wild reading that book, we could go off script. We could just talk about the dogs and we could reduce our stress, and because of that, we could just really enjoy each other and enjoy this time we had together. And I can still re-feel that feeling of just sitting there and feeling safe and loved and like the center of the universe. And that book was the platform for those feelings.
You said you were not going to make me cry.
Sorry.
Here you go already. Sarah,
Go, I'll do it.
Jesse, your childhood memories and reading. What do you remember about being a little kid and reading books?
Oh, absolutely. So reading took me to a different place. Reading was amazing because I was such a kid with a huge imagination, and I loved using my imagination. So it wasn't just reading, but it was also creating and writing as a kid. And even as a first grader, I told myself I was going to write a book that was going to be on the shelves of libraries and bookstores where other kids could read them. And I imagined that in my head.
As
But,
a child, you saw yourself as a book author?
I did. My teacher, first grade teacher, Mrs. Flagstead, told us one day, she's like, boys and girls, we're going to be authors. We're going to create our own books. My little 6-year-old mind told me that this is what we were going to do, that kids from all over the world were going to be reading my books. And that brought so much excitement. And I used to think, wow, how exciting. Well, that actually didn't happen. What happened was we were going to create our own little books on paper. So she took these big first grade lined paper, folded them in half and stapled them. And she made some book covers out of cardboard with some wallpaper on there. And even though it wasn't what I imagined, I was so proud of that book. I took it around with me everywhere. My mom and dad probably read that book over and over. And so anyone I could have them get their hands on my book, it lit me up to know that what I created in my mind was what they were reading. And I was like, oh my gosh. And at the tender age of 6 years old, I knew I could influence imagination. My and it kind of changed a little bit as I got older because I realized that most of the books that I was reading didn't have characters that looked like me. And I was kind of sad. I started losing interest in reading as I got older because I was like, none of these kids I can relate to. None of them are Native American kids like me. They don't have the problems like I do, or even the environment that I come from. And it wasn't until I was probably about 5th grade when I read the book Water Lily, and something just clicked. I was like, oh my goodness. Water Lily is written by a Native woman author, and it's about a Native young woman. And, it was a historical fiction, but it's still, I read that book like as soon as I was done, like the next day I picked it back up to read from the beginning, and just because I could relate to it. And so,
what is it about, Water Lily?
Oh gosh, it's about a young lady who lived back when our ancestors lived. And so it kind of goes through her life of like how she is like meeting a young man and just the life on a prairie, living in teepees and such. And it was so exciting to know like, oh, they're talking about Sundance. I know what Sundance is. And it was something clicked for me. And it gave me like a little bit of inspiration to say, hey, I remember that first grade dream of creating books.
Oh,
so
I love that. I love that. And I'm trying to remember like what was the children's book that got me excited. One that I remember that I loved, but maybe not when I was really tiny, is the book Charlotte's Web, right? Which is still a classic. Yes. And it was the like first movie I think I saw. It was my kindergarten class on a field trip. We went to see the movie Charlotte's Web. And so I think as a class, the teacher had read Charlotte's Web to us, but had such an impact on me that I ended up, at the age of 35, my husband and I, we named our daughter Charlotte. So you think about how just the impressions that some books can have on you. And it was set on a farm, Charlotte's a little girl that's or Charlotte is the spider, excuse me, the wise spider, right? And the little girl Fern, and she falls in love with the pig, and it's a whole situation. So anyway, Charlotte's Web, another book title out there we'll throw out there. I'm going to add another voice to our conversation. We have another children's book author who just joined us, who just arrived. Shannon Gibney is with us. Shannon is an author and a professor of English at Minneapolis College, and some of the children's books she's written include Sam and the Incredible African and American Food Fight, as well as We Miss You, George Floyd. She's also the co-author of an award-winning book, Where We Come From, and she's also written some novels and young adult fiction. Good morning, Shannon. Good to see you.
Thank you so much. I'm
Thanks for
so
coming in.
glad to be here after braving the construction.
You fought the road.
I did. I fought and I won.
You made it. Okay.
Yes.
So you walked in. We're talking about childhood memories. And so I asked Sarah and Jesse, our other book authors, like what they remember as children. Do they have memories of reading books when they were little that have stuck with them? And what do you remember about being little Shannon and a kid and reading, or someone reading to you?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. What I remember is both reading with my parents and them reading to me, and then reading with my brothers. So my older brother, John, who actually lives in St. Paul, maybe they're listening now, who knows? He is 2 years older than me, but very smart, so skipped a grade. So he was 3 years older, which matters when you're a kid.
Right.
And so he was the one who actually really taught me to read. And so we would sit there, and I remember my parents had those encyclopedias before pre-internet times, like before you
ordered the set. You were doing well.
Yes, we had a whole Britannica, and sort of like looking at like some galaxies and space and stuff like that, and and then we would make up stories about us and other like space explorers and whatnot. I had many favorite books growing up. I also liked Where the Wild Things Are. I mean, that's like a classic.
Where the Wild Things Are.
Yeah.
Beautifully illustrated, great story. It's still very popular.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like, yeah.
Well, this brings me to my next question, and we are going to take phone calls from listeners. Again, I'm talking with 3 children's book authors, but I want to hear from you, too, about your favorite children's book. Are there some recommendations that you want to share on the air? And how have you been able to get your children and teenagers to continue to read, to spend more time with reading, with books on e-readers, however you want to do it during the summer months when they're out of school? Call us at 651-227-6000, or you can call us at 800-242-2828. Let's talk about the value of illustrations. Why is it so important that there are pictures to help tell the stories in children's books? And as authors, how do you choose the illustrators you work with? What is that process? How do you find a great illustrator, and what does that add to a fantastic story, Sarah?
Well, so in my experience, I don't get to find the illustrator. The editor often finds the illustrator, and then I get to have a conversation with the editor about who might be the best fit, and then see those illustrations, as the process, comes together.
So it's offering that the publishing company also sometimes will offer like references of illustrators, or you're saying the editors as well?
Yeah. So the publisher, the editor often will pick out that illustrator and work with the illustrator to design the book and to bring it all together. And so I don't know if there was just a really bossy author at one point that ruined it for the rest of us, but...
So it's often you're paired. It's selected. That person selected for you.
Yeah. And it's kind of magical because, you tell your story one way, and then the illustrator gets to be their own storyteller too, and kind of take control and bring their lives and their experiences into the process.
But the pairing, it can be magical when it's done well.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
How do you think about illustrations?
And also, Sarah is like, if I'm not mistaken, like picture books are your thing,
yes.
right? And
Yeah.
so for me as a novelist coming into being a picture book author, that was a whole journey. If you think about somebody who routinely writes 80,000 to 100,000 words, trying to then write 800 words, I think is the average for a children's book. And then also, as you say, having the illustrations convey part of the story as well is a whole other situation. For me, I think I've had maybe a little bit more input in who the illustrators are, sort of talking to my editor.
But can you get feedback? Like, I love
yes.
these parts, but right here, I think this could be tweaked a little bit, or I don't like that.
Yeah, totally. No, and I've told editors, like, I don't think this is a good match. And they have listened to me.
And Jesse, your thoughts on illustrations, the value of them, and working with illustrators.
Sure. So my situation is a little bit different. I actually started off as a hybrid publisher, a hybrid author. And so I actually had a lot of input in who my illustrator was. And I actually selected my cousin who did grow up on a reservation with me. And so it was so important for her to be able to have that background and knowledge of what it looks like to help bring that cultural awareness and the stories to life for me. So I was really blessed with that. And my illustrator is amazing. She's all illustrators are amazing, but I think we always like to think, hey, my illustrator is like super amazing, right? And so, my cousin is actually my illustrator for all
fantastic.
7 of my books.
But for the child, I mean, I mentioned that reading can help really, broaden the imagination. And so those pictures play a critical role in how a child is going to remember a story or what they get out of it. Have you found that to be true, Jesse?
Absolutely. It just brings a story to life and helps the kids bring their imagination as well, too, into that.
All right. Well, let's take some phone calls from listeners. Again, as we talk about children's books and I talk with 3 authors, let's take a phone call from a listener in White Bear Lake. This is Laura on the phone. Good morning, Laura. What did you want to share with us?
Good morning. I'm a mom of 3, and my oldest is 8, and she has historically struggled with reading, and I just wanted to give a recommendation for the Humphrey books by Betty G. Burney. She has gotten really excited about those. It's about their class pet, Humphrey, who is a little hamster, and kind of the stories are eyes of the class pet. With that, so
it's a series. Then there's more than one. The Humphrey books, and so is she going into maybe 4th grade?
Yeah, exactly. She's going into 4th.
And what are you seeing in how she's learning how to read? What helps and what is a challenge in getting her to spend time reading?
Well, what her 3rd grade teacher, shout out to her, Sheila Suckstall. Sorry, my 1-year-old here in the back.
That's okay.
So she kind of gave them some inspiration over the summer, kind of, you'll maybe get a prize when you come back to school for X amount of minutes of reading, but also calling out to the Ramsey County Library system. They have a reading program that you can log, and I think it's like 100 hours, and you can be entered into prizes, I think for twins tickets or something like that. And then they also had at the White Bear Library this llama event, and they brought llamas to the library.
Oh, no, they didn't. Wow.
And
oh, my gosh.
A llama stuffed animal, and there was a llama craft. So, like,
and that's a book series, right? My Mama is a Llama?
Yes.
Llama.
Yeah.
Or,
yes.
right?
Red pajama.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a whole series.
Yep. So they really just, that was such a great and free event, totally free. And it was a great event to start off the summer. And
thank you, Laura from White Bear Lake, recommending the Humphrey book series about a hamster, lifting up libraries. Libraries have lots of great events, and reminding us that teachers often do send home the reading list. So parents, look for the reading list.
Yes.
They came home with a list of recommendations. Okay, in case they didn't tell you.
Check that back.
Okay, one more phone call from a listener before we go back to our authors. In Blaine, this is Linda on the phone. Good morning, Linda. What did you want to recommend as we talk about children's books?
Good morning. I'd like to recommend Baby Monkey Private Eye. This is a good book for kids who are like 4 to 6 or so. And this is a really unusual chapter book in that it has 1 sentence per page. The opposite page from the sentence has a cute picture of this baby monkey. He solves these mystery cases. in the process of getting ready to do this, he has to put on his pants, and he has trouble putting on his pants, which makes these little kids laugh.
Linda, say less. I don't want you to destroy the story for me.
He has a snack, and each case is a different snack.
Oh, my goodness.
And he solves the case.
Okay, I love it.
It's a really cute book, and we gave it to my grandchildren, and they read it so many times.
Yeah.
They wanted it read so many times.
Yes.
And then they did little plays in which one of them would be Baby Monkey, and the other one would be a client coming to Baby Monkey with a case.
All right.
Where Baby Monkey had to do something. And they just loved this book.
And Linda, does this make you happy, too? Because it created a way, or as a grandparent, for you to interact with your grandchildren, right? Because it's sometimes just hard to have conversations with them. Okay. I love it. Thank you, Linda from Blaine. Okay, one more. Okay, let's take one more listener before I go back to my questions from my book authors here to talk about your books. In St. Anthony Village, Ryan is on the phone, and our phone lines are full. Hi, Ryan. What did you want to tell us as we talk about children's books?
Good morning. I used to be a teaching theater artist, and I would use a book called The $66 Summer. It's written by John Armistead, and it's set in the segregated South in the 50s. It's a little heavier than the last book you guys were talking about. But
That's okay.
It's great for teenagers or tweens who are maybe interested in historical fiction, and it just really invigorated these young readers that I was working with. And it kind of has a Stand By Me feel. There's adventure and intrigue and murder, and it's really a powerful book.
Okay, and again, tell me the name of it again, Ryan.
It's called The $66 Summer by John Armistead.
$66 Summer. And I am writing these book titles down. The producers and I, we will add these to the website, nprnews.org, my show page. So after the show, we'll put together a list, best as we can, the recommendations that we get this hour. Shannon.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just wanted to jump in. Thank you so much. I love these stories. I love these suggestions. And I love that you're collating all of them for folks, because this is really, I feel like, what reading, writing, and storytelling is all about, right? It's a family affair. It's a community affair. And we all get to contribute bits. I just want to also say, too, that we are in kind of an awesome moment for kids' graphic novels. So there was a caller who called in talking about reluctant readers, right? And I have an avid reader, and I have a 15-year-old avid reader, and I have a 10-year-old who's reluctant because, like many children, she was a kindergartner in the pandemic and lost a lot of time and sort of attachment, I guess, to reading at that time. But I will tell you that graphic novels have just been a lifesaver for my kids. So
tell me again what that is. Those are
so they're basically some people would call them comic books. My
what
son,
they look like. Yeah,
that's what they look like. But graphic novels they just have more serious themes, and they sort of move more like a book than a comic. My son reads both comics and graphic novels, but for instance, there's like Homer, the Odyssey, like there's a graphic novel of that, and one of his favorite series is The New Kid, by Jerry Craft, and he's read that thing like 150 times. So I think the caller also who called in about the what was it, a squirrel who was a sleuth, I hope I'm not missing,
or a hamster,
right?
Yeah.
And that her grandkids read the thing like over and over and over again.
Okay, or maybe it was the baby monkey.
There's a lot. There's a lot of animals, moving around doing things.
The Humphrey books.
Yeah.
The hamster. And so I had to be educated because me as a child, I only read books like once and then I was done. Yes. My kids with graphic novels, they will read those bad boys like, I mean, I'm not exaggerating to say that my son probably read The New Kid 150 times.
If you like Worth It, you should know it's just a tiny taste of all that the Minnesota Star Tribune has to offer. We've got an all-access pass to everything Minnesota, from outdoor adventures to the hottest food spots you've never heard of. From puzzles and games to the best concerts and happenings around the state. It's all here all the time. So subscribe to the Minnesota Star Tribune. It's a great deal. Go to startribune.com/worthit to subscribe. That's worth it to subscribe, all one word.
We're talking about children's books. I have 3 authors with me, and I want to talk about books that each of you have written. Jesse, I want to begin with you. To our listeners, you should know I met Jesse at an event. I was moderating a panel discussion, an education event, and Jesse was invited to be a speaker. She read from a book, and then she talked to these teenagers, and it was extremely moving to me, and I'm so grateful that I have a chance now to talk to you on the radio, Jesse. But it was about the book Thunder's Hair. And so, Jesse, tell us about the book Thunder's Hair, what it's about.
Yeah, absolutely. So working as a school counselor, you hear a lot of things that come in into your office, including, kids that just, feel sad about who they are because other kids are teasing them just for being who they are. And one of those situations were working with Native American boys who had long hair, and they would come in and they'd be so upset because kids were calling them girls. And, so I would remind them about the teachings as Native people about the power of our hair and how amazing it is. And they'd say, yeah, I get it. But, my family shares this, but the kids don't know this. The kids don't understand. And so, I'm tired of being called a girl. I'm tired of my hair being pulled and so forth. And so, that sparked the idea years ago of like, what if I created a story that taught the other kids about the power of our hair and why we as Native people have this tradition and these teachings? How would that impact other kids, but also empower the young boys to keep their hair long? And it's just not the story of the teaching of the long hair. It empowers other kids to not only not only be proud of who you are and embrace that, but also embrace the beauty of other people. That being different is beautiful, because if we were all the same, it would be such a boring world.
And then for kids who are not Indigenous, it's teaching them some history, so they have an understanding of the other children's, like the teachings within their families. And Jesse, what is how do you describe the significance of long hair?
Absolutely. So, for time immemorial, our Native people, and I thought it was just Lakota people, but what I found out is almost a universal teaching amongst tribes is that our hair is very special to us. For Lakota people, it's like an extension of our spirit. And so we always took care of our hair. And the only time we would ever cut it or wear it short and wear it out is to show society that we were in a state of mourning. And so our hair was always worn, for Lakota people, parted down the middle, worn into 2 braids. And as you braid those 3 sections of each braid represented the 3 parts of us that make us up as a whole person in this physical world: our minds, our bodies, and our spirits. And it's a reminder to us that, hey, every single part of us, all 3 parts of us like that, should be taken care of equally. So when you're braiding that hair, you're reminded, like, if one was what's too thin, that braid's going to come out very lumpy. And it's kind of a reminder, like, that's how we are as people, that we need to balance our mind, our body, and our spirit equally.
And I just want to speak to the illustrations in this book too. Thunder's Hair, again by author Jesse Taken Alive Recounter. Excuse me, Jesse. The illustrations are beautiful. You see the pictures of the little boy as he's being kind of bullied at school. You see pictures of him with his, telling his mom. Mom gets all upset, and then here comes Grandma. Here comes Grandma. Like, what's going on? Grandma straightens it out all in the middle of the book, and the illustrations are just beautiful. So thank you, Jesse, for telling us about that. Let's take some more phone calls from our listeners as we talk about children's books in St. Paul. Christine is on the phone. Good morning, Christine. What did you want to say to us about children's books?
Hi there. Good morning. My comment isn't so much about children's books, but about the experience of adults reading to and reading with children. Mm-hmm. When I was in 5th grade, our grade school assistant principal, Mr. Westfall, and our teacher, Mr. Behe, took turns reading chapters to us once a week from a book called Where the Red Fern Grows.
I love that book.
And I don't know if you're familiar with that book. But,
I don't know Where the Red Fern Grows. I'm writing it down.
It's a dog book.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And
it's beautiful.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. The dogs don't survive.
Right.
Okay.
The end of the story. And both Mr. Westfall and Mr. Behe were openly crying when the dogs died. And it was such a powerful thing for us kids to see. One, to have these male adults reading to us, but also to just freely share their emotions, but also that don't know how to explain it better, but it taught us how stories evoke emotion and that they can be a gateway into feeling our feelings. And so
this is so much more than
plug
increasing
for
vocabulary and subject-verb agreement, and it's so much more than that.
Absolutely. And, yeah, like I said, just the experience of having adults read to kids and read with kids, not just helping them find books that they might enjoy, but to sit down and enjoy those books with them, I think is
Thank you, Christine. That's
very important.
Christine from St. Paul. Let's take another call from a listener in Minneapolis. This is Kate who is joining us. Hi, Kate.
Hi.
Hi. What did you want to share with us?
So don't despair. Your kids may become readers and surprise you. My daughter was finished second grade and was supposed to be reading 20 minutes every day. And halfway through the summer, she's reading Harry Potter, and she's like, hey, I'm done for the day. And I'm like, but you have 7 pages left. And she was like, yeah, but I don't have to read anymore until tomorrow. So she waited.
It was a chore, right?
It was a chore, but 3 years later, we were on vacation at a beach, and she was sick, and the last thing she could do was be outside, and she read 3 books in 3 days. And when there's other things outdoors and fun to do, she does those things, but she's also a voracious reader and is now 23 and preparing for her to become a doctor, and the hardest section to study for at the MCAT is the critical and analytical reasoning, which is all about reading, and she's acing that because she's a voracious reader.
All right. So it worked out. It turned out well. All right. Let's take another phone call in St. Paul. Yes, in St. Paul. Lizzie's on the phone. Hey, Lizzie, what did you want to tell us about children's books?
Hello, Angela. Thanks for taking my call. I love to recommend 2 sort of classic and favorites from when I was little. I'm 65. And that is Time of Wonder is one title, and the other is Blueberries for Sal. And I believe they are both written and illustrated by Robert McCloskey. And in fact, he might even have some of his original sketches up in the children's section of the St. Paul Library. Or I have.
What do you like about those books, Lizzie?
They are the Time of Wonder book is the pictures take place. Honestly, I don't even remember all that much about the story. It's just the kids are discovering after a storm and all the surroundings in nature near. And then with Blueberries for Sal, it's the story of a mother and her daughter picking blueberries on one side of a mountain and a bear mother and her bear cub on the other, and how they meet up at the top. And
thank you, Lizzie, for those 2 recommendations. Yes. All right, let's take one more call before I get back to my authors about books that they've written. Also in St. Paul, this is Annika who's joining us. Good morning, Annika. And how old are you, Annika?
My name is Annika, and I'm 8 years old.
Oh, Annika, thanks for listening this morning. Are you with one of your parents, Annika?
Yes.
Okay. What are you reading at 8 years old? What do you want people to know about that's good?
I like the Raina Telgemeier graphic novel, Smile, Guts, and Sister.
Okay, so this is a graphic novel. So tell me about it. What's good about it?
So I think that it's really good for reading, and instead of one of those books you read super fast and that you don't really get very well, it's one of those books that you can read slow and actually get.
I like that too. And tell me, Annika, I missed the name of the title. Can you tell me the book title again?
There's 3 of them: Sisters, and Smile and Guts.
Okay. And these are graphic novels. What has reading been like for you, Annika? Has reading always been really easy for you, or has it been hard sometimes?
I have dyslexia, so it's really hard. But I think that these graphic novels are good, and they're sort of easy to read a bit.
And so with the dyslexia, do you think the pictures have helped you with understanding what the stories are about?
Yeah, they have.
And anything that are your parents, do you like it when people read to you as well, Annika?
Yeah, every night my parents read to me.
Oh, that's so cool.
All right. Well, thank you for listening, and I hope your parents are taking notes on some of these other recommendations. The 3 book authors I have, one of them, Annika, she when she was a little girl, Jessie said she decided she might want to be a writer when she grew up. Do you think you might want to write books too for other kids or adults when you get older? Can you see that happening?
I can.
You can? All right. Well, thank you, Annika. I appreciate you, Annika. And Annika's mom, her parent who's with her, thank you for calling in. Children with where reading is a challenge, we've seen lots of success stories. Sarah and Jessie, you've both worked as counselors and educators. Tell us about just the success stories that you can get past this bumpy part sometimes if you have some challenges reading. Do you have some?
I was waiting for Jessie. Oh. Okay, I will go.
Oh, maybe Jessie. We just heard from a child. What did you get from Annika's call?
It's absolutely awesome to hear that she's still reading, even despite the challenges that she has. Because, the more that you read, it's kind of like, I always tell kids, it's kind of like working a muscle. It's like the more you do it, the better you get and the stronger you get at it. And, one of my daughters, my oldest daughter, actually had a very similar story of where she struggled with reading when she was young until she found that love for it, probably halfway through elementary. And then she would do chores for books. And
We'll work
Mom,
for books.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to go to Barnes and Nobles, and I will sweep and I will even mop if you can go buy me a new book. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is a win-win situation, right? So
I asked that question because I know I even went through this with my kids, where you would just hit a point where they just openly rejected reading, and I'm like, both of your parents are journalists. How can this be? Like, how is this? There are books everywhere,
yes.
And so sometimes, what is the advice for parents though, Sarah? Would you say is to just keep offering like new types of books, or if you get a reluctant reader, as Shannon has described it, what do you do?
I think you follow your kid's lead. I'm in the same boat as Shannon and some of our other callers. I've got a reluctant reader, and boy, did that just drive
your own child.
Yes, and he's 8, and it really, he's got books everywhere. He's been read to since before he was born. I thought I'm an early childhood educator.
Right,
I should be killing it. I was taking it personally.
Right.
But I think for me, I'd kind of been taught by some people that graphic novels and comic books were not legitimate literature.
It's our age group.
Yep. And once he discovered comic books, once he discovered graphic novels, and really, I think his ability to have that sense of expertise by going in and seeing the pictures and letting that lead him, and being able to feel some ownership in the story. Not only was he reading more, but he was making his own. He was integrating it into his life and making it relevant for him. And so I think letting them find the things they love and nourishing that and letting it grow. And I also love the idea of having rewards and having celebrations. I think, I remember the glory of getting that Pizza Hut personal pan pizza when I had read 30 books, when I did the summer reading challenge.
Pizza Hut personal pan.
Yes.
I mean, come
You've just taking me back down memory lane.
Yes.
Okay.
Go
Support.
libraries.
All right. Let's get some more book titles in here. Sarah, let's talk about one of your books, Dolores Huerta, A Hero to Migrant Workers. You wrote that book. What is it about?
So it is about Dolores Huerta, who, I found out about her because I was reading about Cesar Chavez as I was working as a preschool teacher, and my 4-year-olds were obsessed with superheroes, and I was trying to introduce them to real life heroes and leaders and some, leaders that look like them. And there were not a lot of books that did that. I really felt it when Jessie was talking about, writing the book that you wish you saw in the world. That's what inspired that book. So I read about Cesar Chavez, and Dolores kept showing up as kind of a side character in his efforts to, unionize and to bring farm workers together to get farm worker rights. And I thought, this lady, she should have her own book. Like, she should be the star of a book. Yes,
him.
she was an incredible leader in that movement, and she still is. And she also looked like the kids in my classroom. We have, back then, a terrible thing we did is when moms would pick up their kids, we wouldn't call them, hey, Sheila, hey, Jennifer. We'd say, oh, it's Chris's mom, it's Nevaeh's mom. And so moms, didn't really have an identity beyond being mom. And here was this mom who was also wearing so many hats, and working for her community and being an activist and bringing people together in these powerful ways. And I thought, what an incredible thing to showcase this mom and to show how vast, you need to be in order to be a woman in this world who wants to do things for your community and to
What
help
age
people.
group is that book
So this
for?
book is for kindergarten through second grade, but you can read, I think picture books are for every age group. But yeah,
that's wonderful. Thank you.
It was inspired by my preschoolers.
It didn't exist, so you created it. Yep. Thank you. Shannon Gibney, a book that you wrote that I just spent some time with, Sam and the Incredible African and American Food Fight, illustrated by Charlie Palmer. Tell us about what inspired that story and in this book.
Yeah, thank you. So many of the books that I write for children are inspired by my own children. So really, this one is about my son, who's now 15. So this was my first children's picture book. It took me many drafts. So I just want to say that to all the aspiring writers out there. Don't give up, just keep reading, keep writing. So it's about this kid his mom is African-American, his dad is Liberian. And so every night there's all this tension in the house over what kind of food they're going to have.
There's a culture clash.
It's a culture
at the dinner
clash.
table.
Yes. Are they going to have African food? Or are they going to have American food? And it's totally stressing him out until his stomach starts talking to him like this and they come up with a plan. And so then it's published by our very own University of Minnesota Press. So I worked with Eric Anderson, wonderful editor there, and he located Charlie Palmer, who is, if you're on IG, you can follow him. He's actually a studio artist. So he's a painter. So he, a lot of times we work with illustrators who, they're doing stuff digitally. Everybody does things differently. But Charlie actually painted each picture in the book. And so it took him a very long time. The end result is amazing, I think. It's so vibrant. It brings the story to life in all these different ways.
So what is the point? What do you want the readers to get out of it? Because it's more than just about food. Is it about just embracing all the parts of who you are if you're from a blended or an interracial family?
Yeah. I think it is about, holding all the differences that you might have in your family and in your life. And particularly, I think, from an African diasporic perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't seeing very much stuff like that for my kids.
Right. And again, the name of that book is Sam and the Incredible African and American Food Fight by Shannon Gibney in St. Paul, Vubeida. Did I get that right? Vubeida has been waiting and is on the line. Good morning. What did you want to share with us?
Good morning. Yeah, my name is Zubaida. And I just wanted to say hi to Miss Shannon. She was my teacher at Minneapolis College.
What? Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
And then, actually, one of my favorite books is a book that we read in her class, The Late Homecomer by Kokalia Yang.
Yay!
Tell me the name of the title of the book again. What's the title again?
The Late Homecomer.
Mm-hmm.
It's a memoir. Yeah. By Kokalia Yang.
Yes.
And then my favorite children's book is Click Clack Moo.
Click Clack
Cows
Moo.
that Click Clack Moo. Cows that like to type. I read that to my 6-month-old every time.
So you have a baby. So you're reading to your infant now.
Yes. Anything Dr. Seuss and that book is our daily pickup.
Thank you. Click, clack, moo, and the late
How's that type?
homecoming.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Vubeida. And how was Miss Shannon as an instructor?
Amazing.
She was amazing. Okay, all right. Let's take another phone call from a listener in Bloomington. Michelle's on the phone. Michelle, what did you want to tell us as we talk about children's books?
Hi, Angela. Loving the conversation.
Thank you. Me too. I'm having fun.
So I wanted to share how much you can kind of stretch out a book or milk it for all it's worth. And my favorite one to do it with for a children's book is Richard Scarry's I Am a Bunny. And it's this little bunny going through all the different seasons and what he does outside, like looking at birds and watching frogs. But we count the frog, we pick the strawberries and eat them, or we feed them to the bunny. And you know, you can spend 20 minutes with this one short children's book, but any book you can do it. You can say, okay, where's the turtle on this page? And the kid points, or you can play peekaboo where you cover it up with your hand. And our 1-year-old just loves doing this. And it means that reading one book at bedtime can take as long as reading a few chapters of a grown-up book.
Right. It takes time. Thank you, Michelle there in Bloomington. Let's go to Kenyon, Minnesota, where Colin is on the phone. Good morning, Colin. Thank you for waiting. What do you want to share with us as we talk about children's books?
Hi. I'm not sure what one of your guests mentioned it, but where you read books and you got pizza.
Yeah.
Back in the day, book it. I love that.
As a
I
reward.
don't know why they stopped doing that.
I know. Okay, that's a whole other show, Colin. But
that got me to read books.
Okay, a reward, a food reward.
But,
okay.
Yeah, my favorite book for me and my kids is How Full Is Your Bucket?
Ooh, How Full Is Your Bucket?
By Mary Reckman and Tom Rath, I believe it is.
What's it about?
So it teaches kids empathy. So it's basically saying everyone has an invisible bucket. When you're nice to people, it fills up their bucket. And when you're mean to people, you're taking away from their bucket. And the book starts out where he's being mean to his sister. His grandpa explains it. And then he goes through the day seeing how everyone else has a bucket. And then he starts realizing he needs to be nice. He needs to show empathy. He needs to have compassion.
I love it. Thank you, Colin there in Kenyon. How full is your bucket? I love any children's story. When you bring in a grandparent, you bring in a grandparent and it just shifts. It shifts. Oh my gosh, this has been such a delightful conversation. And we are unfortunately out of time, but I want to thank all of our authors who spent some time with us. Thank you for the work that you're doing and contributing to this growing, expansive wealth of books that we have available to us, and reminding folks that our local libraries are all doing spectacular things all across the state. So check out your local library, see what's available there in terms of programs and the books that they have for our kids. I want to thank our guests again, 3 award-winning children's book authors. We've been talking to Jesse Taken Alive Rencounter, who is a Hunkpapa Lakota from the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe, a former school counselor joining us from South Dakota this morning, and also Sarah Warren, who worked as an early childhood educator for 17 years, and Shannon Gibney, who is a professor of English at Minneapolis College. We will try to get these titles, as many as we can, on nprnews.org on my show page for you today. This conversation was produced by Carrie Dwyer. We'll talk again tomorrow morning, everybody. Thanks for listening to a recording of my live radio show on MPR News. A reminder that if you want to catch my show in real time, tune in and call in weekdays at 9 a.m.